Alright, video blog check everybody. Azrael here. We are here sa ROX Philippines store in BGC. At they are featuring a photo exhibit ng mga mountain climbers, Mount Everest climbers. At sila yung mga UP Mountaineer kasama yung mga umakyat na Mount Everest. So apat yung kaninang na-feature dito, si Romy Garduce, syempre nandito, si Noel Wenceslao, tsaka yung dalawa, si Miguel at sino isa? Forgot his name, sorry. So ayun, watch this video at be inspired sa mga stories nila, featuring yung mga adventures nila at mga real life and death story kasi grabe yung mga kwento nila, no? Very parang ang hirap buhatin kasi syempre if you're doing a Mount Everest expedition, hindi biro, pwede kang mamatay doon kasi sobrang grabe yung weather condition doon, grabe yung pasalamat tayo sa human spirit, no? They survive at nakabalik na. At ito yung mga stories na pinifeature nyo rito, yung mga photos nila. So pumunta kayo dito sa ROX Philippines store in BGC sa Tuktok, itong store na to, at makikita nyo yung mga photo exhibit nila. Alright, so ayun na muna, panoorin nyo to, get a coffee, tsaka ensaymada, at makinig kayo sa mga real life story ng ating Filipino and Filipina Mount Everest climbers. Alright, let's do this. Kawai, IG story. Sir Romy, pero talaga ako din. Papa-autograph din daw.
Pareho rin.
Oo, pares din. Thank you, sir. That's Romy Garduce in the house.
Quite a big deal for all of us, because we're not just celebrating just one, not just two, not just three, not just four, but 5 of our mountaineers today. Unfortunately, one of them, Karina, couldn't make it today, but we are celebrating our mountaineers to celebrate their extraordinary feats inside and out the mountains.
Fanny, the ROX. Good evening and welcome. So, ganito to. Wait lang, gumawa ako ng few na listahan. Okay. Bakit ba tayo dito ngayon? Kasi we are celebrating a milestone. Isipin nyo, bihira nyo lang makikita mga tao na nagsama-sama sa isang grupo, which is si Romy, si Miguel, si Delo, and of course si Noel. Hindi nyo pa sila masyadong kilala ngayon, pero mamaya I'm sure you have so many questions that you can ask mga details kung ano nangyari dyan. Pero eto na tayo ngayon. Okay. Eto, alam mo ba yung, well, obviously, yung pinaka-common denominator nila is everybody, each and every one of them stood at the roof of the highest peak sa buong mundo. Pero yun, so sobrang hirap gawin ang ganyan. Just to give you a history, unang umakyat, nakarating ang isang Pilipino ay 2006. Sinundan yan ang mga babae during 2007. And it took more than 20 years bago nasundan ng mga batang mountaineer natin na si Jello and Miguel. Okay. Just to give you a perspective, okay, itanong ako sa inyo, ano highest mountain dito sa Philippines?
Apo.
Ano height ng Apo?
2,000.
In feet, para mas maka-relate yung mga tao. In feet.
2,800
meters yun. So if you convert it into feet, hindi mo may alam.
That's 9,600 something feet. Okay? Sino may alam gano'n nakataas ang Mount Everest? In feet again.
3,000? 3,700?
29,000
Oh.
feet. So, kung katutan, you have 3 acos
Grabe.
relative sa height ng Mount Everest. That's in terms of height lang. Pero in terms of difficulty, siyempre ibang usapan yan. Kasi there's pinag-uusapan altitude, weather, those things. Okay? So, ayan ay para bigyan lang natin sarili natin ng perspective kung gano'n nakakirap. Nakakita ba kayo ng apo? Sino ang mga nakakita ng apo dito? Raise your hand.
Na-invite lang ako pero hindi natuloy.
Siyempre, kung ano man yung hirap na dinanas nyo doon, gawin nyo lang more than hindi lang 3 times, more than.
My God.
Okay? One more thing. Ano ang pinaka-coldest na inabot nyo sa Philippines? Ano sa coldest yun?
Baguio.
Nangyayelo ba dito sa Pilipinas?
Atok.
Actually, nangyayelo dito sa mga ulag.
Ulag.
Permitan ako. Jeno, gano'n nakalamig nung umakyat ka?
Recorded namin. Umabot kami ng negative 40 degrees.
Negative 40.
Oh my God, kalahati na yun.
Negative 40, can you just imagine how cold negative 40 is? Okay. So, masakit na sa katawan niya. Pag kayo aakyat ng Everest, okay, para sa inyong 4 na umakyat ng Everest, thank you very much for your sacrifices na ginawa for the Filipino people. Nakikita nyo na kaya ng Pinoy, at the same time, kaya ng sa Pinay. Kaya ng Pinay, which is right? Right. Lastly, okay. Lahat tayo may sarili Everest na kino-conquer. Okay. Gawin na natin ehemplo itong mga ating mga Pinoy athletes. Isipin mo yung perseverance na ginawa nila, yung dinaanan nila, hardships and everything with the support of family. Ang gusto lang naman nila ipakita na kung kaya nila, kung whatever Everest na dinadaanan natin, ay kakayanin natin because Pinoy tayo, kakayanin natin. Right? Now, to end it, okay, RX, we salute you for your endeavors. And Miguel, Jeno, Noel, Romy, sayang si Karina wala dito. Kayo nga ang mga tunay na tugatog na Mountaineering Society. Maraming salamat po.
Miguel, Mapalad, thank you very much for joining us tonight para tong TED Talk. TED Talk ng Mountaineers. Gusto ko rin na camping chairs, para lang kami nasa outdoors ngayon. So you can relax, you can treat this like a campfire setup. Imagine nyo na lang, after a long hike, andun na tayo, sobrang warm, may mainit na sabaw dyan, we're just resting, alright? So it feels like one of those moments, okay? Are there anything you want to share to us about those moments that, we've heard some of the challenges, but those moments that reminded you of being home, or bringing you back to your comfort zone in a place that's not so comfortable. Then imagine mo, sobrang lamig dun. Hindi siya komportable eh. So what were the things that you did or the things that you have that made you feel at home?
Thank you for that question. And yung pinaka-comfort namin ni Miguel talaga doon is yung bonding namin. Chismisa. Chismisa naman doon. Kasi we were there for roughly 2 months, no? And marirealize mo na mahirap maging mag-isa doon sa taas. And it will get lonely and gutom, dehydrating, pero yung bonding namin and yung humor namin, yun yung nakapagtaas ng moral namin.
At that elevation kasi sa base camp, mataas na rin yan.
So, may konting takot kasi nasa 5,300 meters. Taas. Malamig ang temperature doon gabi-gabi. Hindi bumababa ng minus 17 degrees. So, talagang pagkaganto kami, pagka matutulog kami, kaya ano oras tayo igising bukas. Kakain tayo bukas, ano oras tayo kakain bukas. So yun, medyo talagang mamimiss mo yung init sa Pilipinas. Siguro ang ginagawa na lang namin yun. Bira lang kami, pero si Jeno, nag-birthday kasi siya sa base camp. So doon kami, nag-party kami ng konti, and then next day may hangover. And then yung time na yun, yun din yung mag-acclimatize kami to Pumori High Camp. Oo, tapos pareho kami ni Jeno, may hangover. Sabi ko, kaya ba natin to? Ano ba to? KMS ba to? O hangover na? Well, nasundan naman na umabot naman kami sa sa training. And then, pahinga lang. Huwag na tayo inuman. Masama pa rin epekto. So yun, tinatry namin na kwentuhan na lang tungkol sa pagkain sa Pilipinas, masarap din, and then nagpaplano rin kami yung mga dadaanan namin like yung Pugo Ice Bowl kasi sa totoo lang, diyan kami natatakot, no? Ako lang ba? So dyan yung area, sa Pugo Ice Bowl, yan yung nakakatakot na area dyan.
So kung makikita mo sir dito sa mga pictures natin, isa talaga sa mga nakakatakot na segment sa Everest is yung Pugo Ice Fall. So makita mo yung mga white crevasse, yung mga serak, mga ice towers dyan. So nakakaba na takapin.
Sa expedition namin, may ilang beses kaming dadaan dyan sa amin. Parang ako 4 na beses, tama ba? Ikaw 4 na beses din. No? Pero hindi kami nagkasabay kasi ako sumakit yung tiyan ko nung paakyat dyan. Sabi sa presentation namin pagka magka-training, no? Saka pa siguro. Hindi ko na kaya. So si Jeno yung nauna. And meron din kami kasabay ito na Pinoy, dalawa pa. Nauna rin sila sa I think nakasabay ni Jeno yung isa. Medyo sila magpalag ng konti.
Isa sa mga kasamahan natin yan sa team namin, pero ako yung kumuha nung picture. So, hindi na kailangan ng ladder, so kailangan mong tumalon. So, one of the segments...
Marami kasing ladders so parang ang tinawid namin yung ladders doon, more than 20 yata na ladders. Merong pataas, merong tatawid sa crevasse. So, pero ang nakakatakot kasi dyan is yung avalanche. So, dumadaan kami dyan sa area na yan tuwing gabi lang para matigas yung yelo, matigas ng semento, bihira yung avalanche yung nangyari. Meron pa rin avalanche, kaya mas maliit yung chance na magkaroon. So tuwing gabi, kaya medyo hindi namin nakikita yung bangin, yung lalim ng crevasse.
Ano yung pinaka-memorable na picture dito sa Linang? Baka pwede nyo bigyan ng storya, kwento yung picture.
Aside from dun sa summit photo dun sa may harap, no, I think the most memorable photo for me would be this one. No? I'm standing at the South Summit. Si Miguel nasa baba siya ng onte kasi pagkita namin merong nakabalot na ng summit suit.
May mga bakay dyan sa init.
So, itong photo na to, ito yung most memorable for me kasi at around 5:45, no, nagpe-prepare na ako ng message ko na pag-send sa Pilipinas. Nire-ready ko na yung summit message kasi papalapit na kami sa summit eh. So para pagdating ko sa summit, send ko na dun sa Garmin namin. Pero ito kasi na-witness namin yung sunrise at the highest point on earth and nakita na namin yung curvature ng bundok. So, hindi ko talaga siya maikukumpara sa kahit anong bundok. Kasi nasa pinakataas na.
Ako naman, isa sa memorable, ito. itong area na to, nandito na kami, malapit na kami sa Camp 4, malapit na sa 8,000 meters. Itong area na to, dito yung may namatay tayong isa, kakadaan lang namin doon sa kay Sir PJ na namatay dito sa expedition. So, medyo nakakalungkot talaga yung nangyari. Kasi, first time ko makakita, ayan yung pinaka-first na may makita kaming bangkay sa expedition namin, which is kababayan pa natin Pilipino. So, nakakalungkot. Pero yung masaya naman, eto naman, yung pagkatapos namin ng expedition. Nasa Camp 2 na kami niyan. Nakakain na kami ng masarap. Pero next day na lang, dadaan ulit kami sa Pungo Ice Ball.
Assess yung environment namin kasi yung mata namin medyo namagana dahil sa UV o sa hangin, sa lamig. Hindi ako sure, no? Pero nakarelay na lang kami dito sa orange na tali na to. Parang pabalik na kami ng Camp 4. So, nakapag-summit na kami. At sumasabay pa yung malakas na hangin at snow. So, bulag na kami. Tapos may ganun pa. Kaya, tsinagaan na lang. Ito lang nakita namin itong orange na to.
Ilang minuto yan? Bulog kayo, maasa na lang sa tali.
From 7 to 1 p.m. 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pababa talaga yung pinaka-delikado sa Everest, sa expedition. Yun yung mas maraming disgrasya. Kasi pagod na, tapos may oxygen na kailangan abulin, minsan nauubos. Pero paakyat, ito talaga, excited ka pa eh. Energetic,
Sinasabi nga nila parang yung akyat pa lang, yung summit, 50% pa lang yun. Biyahe, kasi may pababa pa eh. So, how long did you stay on top and then going down? 7 to 1 yung pababa sa amin.
Okay. So nag-start kami ng 6:30 p.m. Nakasummit ako ng 6 a.m. 1 kilometer lang yan.
Oh.
What? 1 kilometer pataas pero pakiramdam.
Yung time kasi namin, yun naman, nauuso na ngayon yung pagkakit sa Everest. So inabot kami ng traffic. Kadalasan pwede siyang gawin ng 6 hours, 7 hours, ganyan. Pero kami, inabot kami ng traffic, almost 700 kami umakyat. Time na yun. Sobrang delikado.
And then usually when you reach the peak, how long do you stay to...
Less than 20 minutes, less than 15 minutes maybe.
Kasi
ganun kabilis.
isipin mo rin yung mga kailangan mo lagpasan na climbers. And isa lang yung linya na dadaanan mo. So, medyo challenging din yan na kailangan mo silang lagpasan. And we were running on supplemental oxygen. So, kailangan dalit-dali makabalik kami sa camp.
So yung parang years of hard work nyo and everything, tapos mag-akit nyo doon, 20 minutes, photos, tapos go back down.
Yun lang, oo. Talagang wala nang flashback kasi saglit lang tayo dito and yung time na yun lang, ang hangin doon ay nasa 40. Only 40 kilometers per hour.
Well, manikis hangin doon.
Hindi kami talaga pag-stay sa, and yung temperature, minus 40 degrees. So talagang hindi kami pag-stay ng matagal. Kunting picture lang, may importanteng shots lang, and then bababa na. Kasi meron diyang dadaanan na yung talagang isang bottleneck, kumbaga yung Hillary step. So nung pababa ako, ewan ko si Jeno, medyo hindi kami magkasabay. Inabot ako ng almost 1 hour na naka-stuck doon. Hindi ako makatawid, nilalamig na ako. Natatakot ako tumuwid doon sa baba kasi may bangkay. Sabi ko, baka maapakan ko ito kung anong makita ko. So talagang inintay ko hanggang matapos, hanggang sumingit na ako pababa. Nakalusot ako for, isipin nyo, naka-expose ka ng sa minus 40 degrees and yung hangin for 1 hour. Naka-stop. Mahirap, sobra. Feeling ko, makukuha na ako doon eh.
So that was like mga 18 hours ka up and down.
Yes, so
12 hours papunta, tapos pababa mga 7, 8.
Pero hindi lang yun kasi nag-start pa kami from Camp 3. So nag-start kami ng Camp 3 around 5 a.m. Then nakarating kami ng Camp 4 ng around 2 p.m.
Wala nang tulog yun, dire-diretso na. So, from May 17, 5 a.m. summit ng tapos bumalik sa Camp 4 ng May 18 ng hapon.
Pag nakita mo sa YouTube, nakita mo talaga.
Puso may naman lang.
So yun yung medyo lumalaking risk ngayon sa pag-akit sa Everest kasi dumadami na rin yung umakyat and delikado kasi yung traffic, no? Lalo yung ayos na kasalamig, delikado kaya medyo maraming matidisgrasya.
So parang kinokontrol na nila ngayon yung mga umakyat because of
Ayun.
the waste also yung mga naiiwan ng mga ibang climbers.
Yeah, totoo yan. Ngayon medyo kinokontrol na ng government pero dati pa naman daw yan eh. Sabi nila ngayon mag-iigpit na sila. Kailangan na, before you climb Mount Everest, kailangan na meron kang at least 7,000 meters, ganyan. And medical certificate, tama ba?
Sinusubukan din nila takasan yung fee ng permits sa mga waiting avoid opportunities.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ano, anong nangyari dun sa body ng kasama ng Pilipino? Na iba pa ba siya or naiwan ba siya?
Yes, na-retrieve yung katawan ni EJ na nakasikaso naman ng family.
Kasi balita din namin na yung ibang mga bodies, even other nationalities, hindi na nakukuha yung body nila.
Yes, marami kasing factors na lang sila.
Nagiging landmark.
Logistically impossible or hindi nakasikaso ng family or the expedition.
Babayad ka pa din ng team.
Mas mahal daw dahil di kailangan i-helicopter mo.
Yes, it would be costly. So, requirement para sa mga climbers na magkaroon ng insurance.
Saka may limit yung helicopter, may certain point na hindi niya kaya mo.
Yung na-experience namin doon, helicopters could go high up to 6,500 meters. Minsan nag-extra pa sila pero sagad-sagad na. Delikado na kasi for them to fly at that altitude.
All right. Thank you very much for your questions and for your stories. Let's give it up for Noel Wenceslau, everybody. Welcome sa Deck Talk natin by the campfire. So kung nasa bundok tayo ngayon, saan tayo? Anong bundok? Ano favorite?
Mount Pulag.
Mount Pulag, favorite. Was that your first mountain?
No, memorable siya kasi I climbed it with my dad.
That's nice. And your dad was a huge inspiration for you growing up, and the reason why you became such an outdoorsy and athletic person, no?
Yes, absolutely.
So when I searched you up, I have to do my research as a host. Nakita ko puro CrossFit videos. You're an amazing adventurer. I wish that sport would grow here in the Philippines. Adventure racing, such an amazing sport, and you were one of the pioneers, in my opinion, or one of the first. Put it that way, right? Or do you have any comments on Philippine adventure and where is that now?
Philippine adventure.
Adventure racing.
I miss it.
You miss it.
I miss it. Back then, kasi hindi kailangan maging artista. So, the adventure races these days, you need to audition for it. You have to have like a certain personality, a combative personality. And you have to be watchable on TV. Tapos nung time namin, yung mga adventure racers, lahat pangit. And we went, yung mga control... yung mga control point namin, hindi rin pwedeng tampayan ng cameraman. So, it wasn't for TV. It was for the racer. It was for the mountaineer. You don't have to look a certain way and you don't have to be on camera. Or you don't have to have that personality na masarap panoorin. It was really for us. Now, I'm happy that it's shared with more people and people can watch the adventure. Kaya lang, yun nga, hindi na kami pwede kasi may audition. Bawal na yung bangin.
Very commercialized na ba yung sport?
Yes, and on one hand, that's a good thing because it's shared with more people. But on the other hand, parang nakaka-miss yung time na pure lang siya. Na walang no cameras, no makeup, kahit ganito yung mukha pwede.
Just you
kahit
and the
ganun yung mukha.
outdoors.
Si Romy kasama ko rin pangit din yung
So we're here today to celebrate you. Amazing. Yee. And here behind us we have your amazing pictures. Okay? And pictures tell 1,000 words, right? Do you have 1,000 words for each of your pictures?
1,000 each.
1,000 words each of her pictures. Okay, so we have your pictures here behind us. For you, what is the most iconic picture that you have here?
My favorite is the one with my dad. Siyempre. This is my favorite. This is me and this is my dad. And this is at Everest Base Camp. Gusto ko rin sabihin, I was in the back and then I met Jeno's mom. As we were talking, she was sharing, if you don't mind, ma'am, she was sharing how difficult it is for a parent to wait for their child who's climbing a mountain that they know is dangerous or doing anything that they know is dangerous. Yung sabi ko po, because I also want to tell my dad this, na it takes a special kind of parent to let your child climb a mountain like Mount Everest. Maraming gustong umakyat. So yung hindi rare yung mountaineer na gustong umakyat ng Mount Everest, pero rare yung parent na papayag and who will support you. So I told that sa mom ni Jeno and kay Papa rin, of course.
Let's give it up for our parents.
The other one, mahilig ako mag-hug. I'm hugging my dad, I'm hugging Karina, I'm a huggable person. And then this one is of me, Janet, and Karina at the base camp also. I want to say something about yung climb ng girls because we like to identify the climber. We like to identify Noel or Janet or Karina or who was the first Filipina to climb. And para sa akin yung mas importante doon, it's not that who the first Filipinas are, but it's that Filipinas are the first women in the world to do a traverse of Mount Everest. So we climbed from Tibet and went down in Nepal. Doesn't matter which Filipino, pero Filipina po yung nakagawa. There.
Amazing.
Was that 1,000 words?
That's 1,000.
Was it?
1,009 words in one sentence. Okay. Is there a picture to show that from that expedition? That's
all of them.
All of them. This is the whole. This is it.
All of them are from the different journey climbs. This is from Chooyu. If I'm gonna tell a story, I wanna talk about Karina's and Janet's stories as well because they're not here.
Yes.
So idadamay ko na lang sila. Sacrifice na lang ng mga Pilipina na nag-climb. So hindi namin sinasadya, pero si Janet just had, she got pregnant during the training and then she just had a baby before we climbed. She gave birth in December. By February, 2 months pa lang, paalis na kami to acclimatize sa Nepal. So, tatlong Pilipina, tas siya yung mother. She represents the mother. Si Karina has 14 siblings. 14 sila, so she has 13 siblings. She's the 4th of 14. So, she represents the sister. And ako naman, baby talaga ako ng family. So, I represent the daughter. So, may ina, may kapatid, may sister. And then yung sacrifices namin, kay Janet, she gave birth in December and she had to leave in February. So yung baby niya, iniwan niya, hindi niya na breastfeed, iniwan niya dun sa father. And then we have a video of the father na humahagulgol, umiiyak. Kasi sinuport niya pa rin yung wife niya and then he was saying on camera na hindi niya alam even kung makikilala pa ng anak nila yung nanay nila. The reason she was on the team is because if anyone if anyone has the biggest reason to, let's say na libing kaming tatlo sa avalanche, anyone has the biggest reason to climb out of there, it's the mother na uuwi sa anak niya. So that's the sacrifice ng mother, si Janet. Si Karina as the sister. Galing sila sa sleepy town of Santon, Don Carlos, Bukidnon. 14 na kapatid, number 4. So when you graduate from college, which she just did, what you're expected to do is send your siblings to school, help out with the family. Pero imbis na gawin niya yun, what she did was join the expedition na wala namang sahod. So, nagtatampo na sa kanya yung family niya, they were paying for a house, they were paying for school, paying for all the siblings, and then they needed her na magtrabaho para to help the family afford everything. Instead, ito yung ginawa niya. And so, yung pressure from the family was so tough that ang dinasal na lang niya, she already talked to our expedition leader to quit the team. Hindi na niya itutuloy yung expedition. Nagdasal na lang siya na parang kung bigyan siya ng sign if this is really what is for her to quit the team or to continue. The next adventure race Karina joined, she won 1 million pesos. So parang sabi ni God, ito na 1 million, ipagpatuloy mo yan. Sinabi ni God sa kanya that it is for you. Pero yun yung sacrifice niya for her family. And then, ako as a daughter, yun, baby ako ng parents ko. And the first time I slept away from home is dito na sa mga expedition. So lagi ako nakatira sa bahay, hindi ako nag-dorm ng college. The first time I slept away from home is sa expedition. Yung during our training climb in Denali sa Alaska, nagpasundo ako sa parents ko sa airport. So syempre, brat, Mama, sunduin mo na ako, huwag kayong magpalit. Ganyan, sabi ni Mama, they're 15 minutes away. And then, on the way to the airport to pick me up, my mom suffered a stroke. So, diniretso na siya sa hospital. I had to take, naghihintay ako sa airport, tawag pa ako ng tawag, ang tagal ng sundo ko. Naghihintay ako ng sundo, and then they called me na dumiretso na lang sa hospital. Hindi ko na inabutan si Mama pagdating ko sa hospital. So, after the Denali climb, nawala si Mama pag uwi ko, we had to climb to Oyu. And rather than panghinaan, parang doon ako humugot ng lakas ng loob na itutuloy ko pa rin to. But it was the hardest climb that I experienced kasi the whole time iniisip ko, hindi si Mama, yung father ko iniisip ko. Kasi dalawa lang, unlike kanina na 14, dalawa lang kami. So, walang kasama yung father ko. So, that's where my head was. Emotionally, it was very difficult kasi I left my father alone. So sabi ko, hindi ko kaya gawin to pag nag-Everest kami. So wala naman kaming pera, pero yung savings ko from childhood, yung whole life savings ko, withdraw ko and I gave it to my father. Tapos sabi ko, sama siya sa base camp. It was also my way of giving back to him kasi siya nag-introduce sa akin sa outdoors. And also, had Mama been there, hindi sasama si Papa kasi kasama niya si Mama. But walang kasama si Papa, and then I thought the best thing would be to bring him to base camp. And so, nung withdraw ko lahat ng savings, wala na akong babalikan. Zero talaga, zero balance. Sabi ni Papa, parang, i-business na lang, wag na natin gamitin sa base camp kasi wala namang return. And then I wanted, sabi ko, bawal, dapat gamitin niya yun sa base camp kasi it might be the last thing we do together. Hindi ko alam kung babalik ako. And so, I wanted my father to be at the base camp. Ending nun, eto siya sa base camp. Nagkita kami sa base camp for the first time. Since umalis ako ng Pilipinas, yan na kami nagkita. So,
amazing story.
More than 1,000 words na. 2007. Yeah. Yun na yun. I think I used up my quota.
Huwag na daw po siya sa words. Do stick around. Garduce.
Hello. Thank you. Sabi ko sa background, dapat yung finale natin si Noel. Maganda rin yung kwento. Magda-downhill tayo.
Thank you for being here with us. I'm sure marami ka rin pasabog na kwento dito, yung mga hindi na na-feature dati sa GMA, you know, you've done so many interviews. Okay? But we're here to highlight you and celebrate you and everybody else here. We have pictures here in the back. Ano yung pinaka-iconic na picture dito? And doon tayo magsimula.
Hindi ko na kung nakwento nila Geno and Miguel yung project nila about the 8,000 meter peaks. Nakwento niya ba kanina? So, idaan ko lang ulit. The reason why may gato akong t-shirt. Yung 7 summits is definitely, you know, something worth celebrating and everything. Pero beyond that kasi, yung mas mahirap na adventure package, yung tinatawag na 14,800 meter peaks. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng mountain above 25,000 feet. That's Sunti kasi ito, meaning, well, nakakamatay siya. It's parang 1/3 na lang yung oxygen level doon. And it's categorized as big mountain climbing. Wala pang Filipino nakakatapos ng 14,800 meter peaks. Kami lang ni Jenny yung nakakadalawa pa lang. So, mababa pa ng score natin, kumbaga. So, yung feeling ko nga today is definitely one, celebratory kasi nga we want to, you know, celebrate sa mga achievements ng mga Filipinos in climbing mountains. So far, nakatatlo na po tayo. Si Geno naka-Manaslu, and at least 10 climbers naka-Everest, and I did Joey. So siguro kung may memorable po to, this is the first 8,000 meter peak ng Filipino. So yun yung parang start ng journey natin. Pero malayo pa po tayo, nakakatatlo pa lang tayo out of the 14. So, pero yung isang, ano ko rin dito, yung hope dito, yung hopeful tayo na because we have a new generation of climbers in the Geno, hopefully merong Pilipino makatapos do all 14 peaks. Kung hindi man sila, at least iba-ibang Pilipino, basta matapos natin yung lahat ng 14. So yun yung key message siguro today about the 8,000 meters, why we're trying to, you know, have this photo exhibit para makita niya ano yung mga na-climb na ng mga Filipinos so far. Alright, so going to the pictures. So this is the summit of Mount Choyu. So malapit yung summit niya, so mukha lang flat, di ba? Pero kung titignan nyo itong picture nila Karina and Noel, ito po siya sa ibabaw. So ito pupunta pala ito ng Camp 2. Itong ibabaw na ito itong picture na ito. And behind me, 20 kilometers away, is the picture of, wala nyo nga po ito. Wala nyo naman natin sa Choy. Mount Everest. Nakikita nyo ba yung maliit na yun? That's Mount Everest, 20 kilometers away. So si Cho Oyu, yung daan yan usually sa Tibet. Meron siya, it's in the border between Nepal and Tibet. Pero mahirap yung south side and Nepal side. So usually sa Tibet kumakakyat. So Tibet side to. Pero 20 kilometers away, nandun lang yung Mount Everest. So I climbed this 7 months before I climbed Everest. So definitely memorable because it's my first taste of big mountain. Anything above 35,000 feet. So parang ganun yung big mountain. Next up, itong photo na to at saka ito related. This is the view of Camp 1 of Mount Everest, Nepal side, coming from Western Kub. Yung south side kasi ng Everest, kung familiar kayo sa topography niya, yung north side medyo straightforward. Ito yung mountain na gano'n. Yung south side, maganda siya, complex of mountain siya. So para siyang may sayaw pa. So kung naka-EBC na kayo, o Everest Base Camp, meron isang maliit na mountain called Kalapatar. In fact, yung Kalapatar is already part of the complex. Yung ridge niyan connected sa Pumori. Yung Pumori connected sa Lola. Hanggang dire-diretso sa taas ng Everest on the left side. On the right side naman, Lugse. So, ito yung Pumori. So dire-diretso yan, malaki, hanggang dito sa Everest, maikot siya. And Everest is actually a neighbor of the fourth highest mountain called Mount Lhotse. So magkatabi silang dalawa. So it's a complex of mountain. So ang dami mong dadaanan before you go to the summit. So very memorable. So ito, yung Western Kub, yan yung main glacier ng Everest coming from base camp. Tapos yung glacier na yan, maraming bitak-bitak. Kasi glacier is moving, di ba? Moving solid yan. Everyday nag-move yan. And yung isang effect ng movement na yun, yung mga crevasse na ganito. So this is another picture from, well, malapit sa Kumbuais Fall. Pero yan, malalim yan. Pwede ka malaglag. This is one example na after Camp 1. Nasa ilalim ka ng glacier. Ito yung ibabaw nito. Pagyan ka na. Na-picture diba? So, very, you know, magical yung view ko nandyan ka. Kasi before I climb Everest, I read a lot of stories about Mount Everest. Yung Western Kub, ano yung Yellow Band, ano yung Liverpool. So every time you climb, a place na sa mountain, parang nakikita mo with your naked eyes, ito pala yung nababasa ko before. So parang nako-complete yung story. Right, ano pa ba? Di ako yan. This one is in Tibet. So yung isang good experience ko about mountaineering in general is that parang siyang extreme traveling. So you get to see places and things na hindi mo ordinarily makikita kung nagta-travel ka lang the normal way. Like for example, when you go to the base camp of Choyu, alam niyo yung word na Serap, yung mga malalaking yellow. So maraming ganyan sa Pombuay's Fall. On the way to Choyu, because glacier moves, di ba? Pinupush out niya yung ice, lalaki ng towering ice. Minsan kahit wala, minsan laki ng bahay. So doon na ako nakita ng mga ganong klaseng structure of ice on the way to base camp. So it's beautiful, it's beyond description actually. Itong Tinggal is the last village before that. So ang Tibet ano yan, medyo mataas, 14,000 feet usually. So ang hirap mag-acclimatize doon pala. So ito yung, kung alam niyo yung geological history ng Himalaya, bumangga yung Indian subcontinent, di ba? It created the Himalayas, kaya umakyat. So Everest is actually growing until now. Yung kabilang side, yung shore side ng mainland ng Asia, tumaas siya. So yung Tibet, kaya tumataas ng 14,000 feet. May geology pa yan. Alright, that's it. Siguro yung last picture ko lang dito is to. This is the South Col. Ito yung location ng Camp 4 ng Mount Everest sa south side. So ito, death zone na to. So climbing from Camp 3, naka-oxygen ka na usually, although low setting pa lang, because you intend to climb to the summit the night na ma-reach mo yung Camp 4. So ito yung, this is actually after the summit, so medyo masaya na ako dyan. Kasi tapos na yung problema. Yeah. So kung familiar kayo dun sa Into Thin Air, yung 1996 na Everest disaster, ito kasi maliit lang, tas mahaba, malaki. Nandito yung pyramid ng Everest. So nung bigla nagka-squall, squall is parang sudden storm na maliit lang. It's not actually a grand typhoon or whatever, pero nagkawala-wala sila pababa. Napunta lang sila 200 meters away from the campsite. And doon nagsimula yung bad story na naiwan sila doon sa labas, namatay yung iba, and everything. So kung familiar kayo sa Into Thin Air, yun yung major part ng disaster story na yun. Dito lang nangyari yun beyond that. Anyway, yun lang.
Avalanche po yun, no?
No, iba pa yung avalanche. Iba pa yung series of unfortunate events. So, maraming
bad weather din, di ba?
Bad weather din. So, yun yung huli, yung bad weather. So, na-stuck sila dyan sa Camp 4. And then, iniwan sila, I'm not sure if you know Beck Wenders, meron siyang book na Left for Dead. So, isa siya sa mga iniwan doon. Tapos, nung tinignan ng mga Sherpa, may mga ice na yung mukha nila doon, chip off pa yung face. Tapos, they're good as dead. Iniwanan sila. So, the Japanese woman died. Siya yung unang naka-7 summit siya yata. But this guy woke up in the middle of the night. Tapos, sinirescue siya. Tapos, iniwanan uli sa tent. He won't make it. Tapos, bumakon ulit. Hanggang sa eventually, tumawag yung wife na, nadala na helicopter, rescuing ko yan. Si Beck Weathers yung pangalan niya. So, magandang story lang, pero 1996.
Pero may mga siya, frostbite.
Putol na yung niya. Marami na siya. So, that's the problem. So, pag na-frostbite kayo, siyempre, meron ng matatagal na problem. Yung katawan kasi natin, obviously, kapag pagka hypothermia, tapos may extreme cold weather problem ka na, una niya sacrifice yung extremities. Kasi yung oxygen mo i-reserve niya doon sa core function mo ng system. Kaya una nawawala, mga tenga, daliri, toes, ilong niya. Ilong, oo, yan. Saka, kaya siya, nawala yung sa amputation. Sorry, pakita kwenta. Pero, yun yung danger of big mountain climbing or any cold area like Antarctica or North Pole. Ganon din yung risk.
And it's a very risky sport, and which makes the reward a lot more sweeter, no?
Sige. How different, I guess, now, mas mataas na yung tier ng logistics, mas nakasikaso na yung mga climbers. And ngayon, mas accurate na yung weather systems. I think yun yung yung different edge na sa pag-akyat ngayon. So, mas nagiging safe na yung climbs. Kasi, hindi ko alam kung ano yung strategy nung first expedition dati. Pero kasi, nung expedition namin ni Miguel, we heavily rely na dun sa weather systems namin. So, malalaman namin kung kailan yung exact date na aalis kami ng base camp, kailan yung exact time na magkakaroon ng snowstorm, kailan yung oras na sasabit kami, kailan mawawala yung malakas na hangin. So, ngayon, mas accurate nga at mas safe.
Iba na yung technology ngayon eh. May video ko nga na nawalan yung video nyo sa summit, di ba? Nag-record kayo doon. So, from their time, iba na yung technology. So, in her time,
yes, siguro yun din, no? Yung wala pa masyadong maliliit na camera noon. Baka mahirap pa yung mga pag-cover, pag-shoot ng pictures. And also yung siguro yung gamit. Baka mas magagaan na yung mga gamit ngayon. Compare dati, ewan ko.
Guys, hindi naman kami ganun katanda. Para naman 1953 yung expedition namin. Ilang taon, hindi naman ganun ka. Na-invento, yung mga sinasabi niyong technology, na-invento na yan. Hindi lang namin nagamit. Tsaka di ba yung Mount Everest, tumataas siya ng parang 1/3 of an inch a year? Ayun, so tumataas siya.
So, mas mataas na din ang inakit.
So mas mataas yung inakyat niya.
May 2 cm.
Pero high-tech na rin. Pero na-invento na, just to be clear, na-invento na ng panahon namin. Hindi naman kami ganun katanda. Ewan ko, sila hindi matanda.
1 year apart na tayo. So, for me, yung pinaka tangible difference siguro, yung nabanggit ni Miguel kanina na mga miniaturized na yung mga cameras. Dati wala pang GoPro nung panahon namin. Ang dala ko yung camera namin,
Handycam.
Handycam. So pag nagsiselfie ka, weird. Tapos yung baterya niya, alakas maubos. Tapos ano pa siya 8mm film yun, di ba? Yung GoPro, SD card. Yung isang SD card, sa buong expedition pwede na. Nung nag-Antarctica ako, may GoPro na, 9 batteries, buhay ka na ng buong expedition. Unlike before, ang hirap ng dala. Yung expedition ko medyo pahirapan din because I'm partner with the GMA7 at the time. So, ang dami kong dalang may satellite dish ako, yung RB na tinatawag. Meron akong computer na maliit para i-connect dun sa, kung ano-anong gadget. Ang nakakainis, even with all those technology, limited ka pa rin with the elements and the topography. Like, nung nasa Camdo ako, sabi na sa instruction ng Arbigan, point mo yung satellite south, southeast, whatever, at 53 degrees. Yung malaking lotse ko nakaharang doon sa satellite ko. So wala rin. So siguro hindi naman big deal yung mga specialized equipment. Yung hindi nagbago siguro talaga yung physical effort in really climbing the mountain. Nandun pa rin yung yaba, yung good looks, yung lakas ng katawan and everything. Pero siguro yung isang mapupuna ko lang din ngayon, yung technology difference din yung rescue, malaking difference na. Like dati helicopter, masirap. Ngayon, yung iba ayaw na mag-ice fall, nagpapahatid na lang sa Camp 1. Good and bad kasi hindi ka maka-acclimatize, pero at least safe ka dun sa avalanche. So siguro ganun lang. Pero siguro yung the vast majority of the effort, pareho pa rin.
Sir, follow up lang. How about you?
May gusto bang magtanong? So yung tanong, may mga nagbago ba sa training regimen and diets bago mag-climb ng mga Everest? So ano yung preparation sa physical at sa nutrition?
Yung time nyo, is it different yung methodology ng training? May mga nadagdag ba? May mga equipments ba na ginamit na bago?
Noong time ko, hindi kami nagtitraining. Panik lang.
Akit talaga.
Akit, di ba? Ako to answer in a personal point of view, hindi kasi ako gano'n naniniwala sa mga para scientific diet or whatever methodology. Mas importante kasi yung, siyempre alam mo naman kung ano yung generally nutritious na food. Meron din kaming survival food na alam mo hindi nutritious, kaya ako lang kainin, like instant noodles. Kasi importante siya sa moral, importante siya sa lamig, whatever. Pero yung strict diet and whatever, ako personally wala.
anong kaya mong ipasok sa bibig mo na malulunok mo. Hindi kasi a lot of people lose their appetite sa high altitude, so na-experience yun sa mga kasama ko. And if you're choosy sa kakainin mo, science, ang importante sa science yung meron kang calories. So, pag sumusubo ka kasi mararamdaman mo yung init. Yung init kahit gaano kaganda yung gear mo, yung body heat manggagaling sa'yo. It will trap the body heat, pero wala siyang body heat na itatrap kung hindi, wala kang heat na pinoproduce. So kahit anong maisubo mo, candy, chicken joy, pwede. Tapos training, the best practice for mountaineering is mountaineering. So, fitness, cardio, jogging, you can do anything sa Pilipinas, pero when you start practicing sa mountaineering and other expeditions, yun yung best practice for it. Para maharap mo lahat ng mga hindi inaasahang pwede mong asahan.
Okay, so yun nga, no, same sa preparation, best preparation for mountain climbing din. So kailangan medyo masanay mo, familiarize lang yung katawan mo, lalo-lalo na sa high altitude. Gaya nga nung yung isa nating namatay, no, na Pilipino. Siguro maging isang ano na rin to, lesson na hindi rin basta-basta ang pag-akyat sa Everest. Pero kung masanay lang yung katawan mo sa ganung elevation, sa yung fitness mo for cold, for the weather, for the high altitude yun, siguro masanay din. Sa diet naman, wala naman kami masyadong diet.
Hindi ko, corned beef daw yung favorite niya sa Everest eh.
Oo, sa climb, siyempre kailangan mo ng comfort food. So, ano ko ba corned beef? Pero yun nga, pag nandun kami nung habang umakit kami sa death zone, that's almost 24 hours na lakad, no, from Camp 3 to hanggang pababa. Wala kami halos kinain. Kahit tubig, medyo bitin kami kasi nagpo-cross yung inuman namin. No? Kaya talagang ubus na ubus kami yung summit climb namin.
I guess for me, in addition lang dun sa sinabi ni Ms. Noel na in order to climb mountains, sa mountains ka din mag-train. So kung sila umakyat sila ng Denali and Choyu, kami din ni Miguel, nagkaroon din kami ng several climbs sa Himalayas, Manaslu, Amadablam. So dun na-build yung mental toughness namin at doon namin kinikilala yung personal skills kasi what may work for me may not work for others and what may work for others may not work for me. So para handa kami dun sa big expedition namin.
Great answers and
ako si Geno Panganiban, ang cutie mountaineer ng Pasig City.
Cutie mountaineer ng Pasig City, all the way to Mount Everest. Pwede serious, pwede funny, you know.
Ako si Miguel Mapalat, ang medyo poging mountaineer na nakagat sa Everest. Medyo pogi na.
Dagdag pogi points yung pag-akyat sa Everest.
Yes. Yung title ko talaga, ano lang kasi naligaw lang tayo ng landas na punta sa Mount Everest. Yung title ko talagang tinatarget ng time na yun, Binibining Pilipinas. Ginive up ko na yung dream na yun para sa mountaineering.
Hard decision, very hard decision.
Ako simple lang, siguro Romy the Dreamer. So until now, I still dream of future adventures. Hindi pa naman completely tapos. Hopefully, magkaroon pa ng time to do other things. Wala, ako yung simple.
Okay. Speaking of dreams, dream big, di ba? Ano yung next big dream mo?
Yeah, yun nasa listahan ko na hindi ko ma-check-checkan. Yung after 7 summits, may tinatawag kong Grand Slam. Ewan ko, narinig nyo na yung Grand Slam. So it means you climb the 7 summits, you traverse the North coast to pole na North Pole, coast to pole ng South Pole, parang ganyan. So, tinatarget ko siya matagal na 3 years, 4 years ago. Pero wala na po akong $100,000. So, kung meron kayong mapapautang, hindi ko namang simulan ulit. Pero yun yung iniisip ko dati pa. Tapos meron na siyang shortcut version dahil ang dami ng tao hindi makagawa. Ngayon, ina-accept na ng, meron kasing record dyan yung mga sa mundo. Dati ang hirap ng coast to pole. Yung isa sa pinakamahirap na expedition sa Arctic, sa North Pole, kasi gumagalaw yung ice. It's ocean, siyempre. Hindi naman siya fixed. Minsan pagka-camp mo, pag-gising mo, iba yung location mo, saka lang mag-navigate. Tapos ang daming detak ng ice, lalo na with the global warming thing. So, masyado siyang mahirap. One of the most extreme sport, lalo na kung solo. Yung Antarctica mas doable because it's stable, pero mahirap pa rin. 2 buwan niya na, more than, I don't know, 120 kilometers na parang nakasled ka. Ngayon meron ng shortcut version na last degree parallel yung tawag. So kahit man lang yun sana ma-checkan ko. Last degree parallel, di ba, meron tayong latitude, longitude. Yung huling guhit bago ka mag-pole, so yun yung pwede mo pang gawin para ma-credit mo yung North Pole or South. So that's the hope.
North Pole or South Pole?
Bukod dun sa binibining Pilipinas kanina, before Everest, I was, nagta-try out ako nun sa national team ng Dragon Boat. So ngayon, kaya lang, kulang ako sa height and sobra sa age. So under height, under age, hindi ako I wasn't hopeful dun sa national team ng Dragon Boat. After Everest, na natapos mo what people thought was, what you yourself thought was impossible, biglang i-re-evaluate mo lahat ng ibang inisip mong imposible. Kasi parang inisip ko na yung national team. Imposible na yan. Pero after nung Everest, 2007 yun, 2008, ang ginawa ko is nag-try out sa national team ulit. Ako lang yung 4'11 dun, yung teammates ko 5'8". Pero, Philippines ang nag-world champion, record holder and world champion sa Dragon Boat noong 2009 sa Prague. 40 seconds, 200 meters, world record, 8 years bago na achieve ng China. So, for a time, yung Philippines is the fastest dragon boat in the world. Congratulations sa atin.
Siguro yung next, na lang, yung project namin. Ako personally, ang goal ko rin is masundan yung apak ni Tito Romy, no? Target ko. So, meron 7 summits na medyo doable compared to our big project talaga, yung 14 peaks. Dalawa na ako, so meron pang 5, madami pa. Medyo kailangan ko pa ng isang project. DPWH project.
Sa mga sponsors dyan.
So, this December, akit ako ng Elbrus, and next year for our 14 peaks, meron kaming K2 expedition.
K2, let's go!
Sana step.
Ayan, kagaya ni Kuya Miguel, tsaka ni Tito Romy. So, we are on our way to completing the 7 summits and hopefully climb more 8,000 meter peaks. And hopefully, next season, ako yung maging next Filipino na makapag-summit ng 8,000 meter peaks.
Wow. Very huge feat for everybody here. It's a very expensive hobby and it needs support and not just financially, but the support of community, friends and family as well, as you've heard their stories.